Hi guys, so long time no see and sincere apologies for that. Last month I had to undergo some surgery and of course that sort of knocked me out for a long time, but I'm happy to report that I'm fully recovered now and delighted to be back at work and that everything is going very positively for me. One of the things when I was in bed recovering after my surgery, and this often happens to me if I'm sick or ill, and I'm sure I'm not alone, is that I become obsessed with cleaning and organising because I actually have the time to sort of sit and think about my house and to look around different spaces, albeit from the bed of course, and to really sort of observe how cluttered and unorganised certain aspects of my life and my home had become. And this is actually something that I've been feeling for quite some time. I'm very sort of lucky in that I have a lot of really beautiful things and a lot of clothes, basically a lot of everything. And while I'm very grateful for having all of those things, I'm almost at the point now where I'm overwhelmed by the sheer volume. And it's almost like I couldn't see the wood for the trees. And common complaint every woman has, I'd open the wardrobe, it was packed to the gills and I would have nothing to wear. I would search for a particular handbag that I was looking for. I wouldn't find it, but I'd find 5 other handbags that I had totally forgotten about. And I just felt in almost every aspect and in every room in the house, our lives had become like that. And it was sort of frustrating me. And obviously, you know, the obvious thing would be to sort of declutter and remove anything that we didn't want. But I had done that in the past and I felt like that, you know, sort of our life would repeat itself constantly. And I was sort of chatting to a friend about this over lunch at the start of the year, and she actually introduced me to a couple of YouTube videos or sort of a documentation of the process used by Marie Kondo. Marie Kondo is a Japanese professional organizer, and her method is called the KonMari or KonMari method. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. As you can probably guess, KonMari or KonMari is an abbreviation of her name. It's actually her nickname in Japan. And I watched these videos, and then Laura, who is my friend, big shout out to Laura, she runs How to Get Your Shit Together, and she is a really good friend of mine, and she's also a former bride. I was very lucky to work with her and her lovely husband on their wedding a number of years ago. And since then, she and I, we kept in touch afterwards, and we're now firm friends. And she also is very keen organizer, very much like myself, into lists and planners and all the rest, probably why we get on so well. But Laura from How to Get Your Shit Together actually introduced me to Marie Kondo and her method and the book that she has. And Marie Kondo's book is called, and I'm going to look down because it's a long title, so I've written it out. It's called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, the Japanese Art of Decluttering and Organizing. And it's available, it's a New York, it's on the New York bestseller list. It is everywhere. I personally bought it on Kindle again because I was stuck in bed, couldn't get out to the bookstore. And in ways I wish I had purchased a physical copy because the book's really interesting. There's a lot of really great points in it, and I wish I could have sort of highlighted or written notes as I went along, and obviously you can't do that on your iPad or in a Kindle. But then in hindsight, because of the purpose of the book, I'm actually kind of glad I have it on Kindle because it's a book you would probably use and read while you're going through the process, but after that probably wouldn't return to it, because one of the great things about the KonMari method of decluttering and organizing your home is Marie Kondo, who obviously practices her own method, and she is a professional organizer in Japan. She has a 0% relapse rate. So what that means is when she goes in and helps a family or a person or a couple or whomever, if she goes in and helps a client to declutter and organize their home, because of the method, of her method, they have a 0% relapse rate. So they don't sort of end back up with a cluttered house. So this really appealed to me because it's exactly what I was looking for, is a way of organizing and decluttering my home that would mean that it would always remain so. With as little as effort from myself and James, my husband, as possible. Obviously, we appreciate you still have to tidy up and clean and sort of, not so much declutter, but just put things back where they belong. And we're fine with that. But we really wanted to start the process off right. And in a very, very sort of basic form, what the KonMari method involves is decluttering your home in an order. So she lists the order in her book. For me personally, I felt that she was nearly too broad with some of the categories. She really sort of, her categories for decluttering your home, the way in which to start her process is to start with clothes, handbags, shoes, accessories, then to move on to books and paper, and then she sort of pretty much groups everything else into what she calls, and forgive me if I'm not pronouncing this correctly, a kimono. Oh no, that's not the word at all. Oh goodness, I'll have to look that up. But basically, the final category, it's a Japanese word, of course, and she just kind of lumps absolutely everything else in there. Now, obviously, for me who love lists, I would prefer that it was a little bit more detailed, and I will probably, as I'm going through this process, write a more detailed list and document some of it as I go along, and then I'll probably share the list that I use, just so in case anybody's interested and you're looking for a sort of a list in which to follow if you choose to use this method, and I'll share that with you guys. But in its very basic form is you follow the order, the process, or you follow the order in which she recommends you declutter your home. And when you go to, when you start with a particular category, say for instance clothes, the purpose is you bring every single item of clothing that you own to one place, you put it all in a heap, and you physically touch and feel every single item, and you only keep the ones that bring you joy. Which initially, when I sort of read this and discovered this, I kind of found it a sort of an unusual concept. You don't focus on whether it's practical, on whether it's something you wear all of the time, or if it's useful, or all those sort of rational sort of reasons for keeping an item. You just keep it if it brings you joy. Now, of course, she and I appreciate there are certain things that you need in your closet or in your kitchen or in your bathroom that have a function. Perhaps they don't bring you joy, but you need them all the same. And if that's the case, what you need to do is, I suppose, make a list of, sort of, I need a toothbrush, but my toothbrush doesn't bring me joy. But obviously you need one to brush your teeth every day. So you make a list to replace the toothbrush or the given item with one that gives you joy in time, obviously when you can afford to, or sort of as time allows and so on. And for everything else, you get rid of it. You can either donate it to charity or so on. She doesn't necessarily recommend donating to friends and family, because that then just transfers the clutter and the organization onto somebody else, unless of course it is something that gives them joy. So I started this process, and and of course what I've just described there is a very, very short synopsis of the process. I really would suggest that if you're interested in decluttering and organizing your home, to definitely read the book. I think it cost me like $10 or something on Amazon for the Kindle. I'm not sure how much it retails in an actual bookshop, but I can imagine it. I would say it's somewhere between 15 and 20 euro, and perhaps even less. I would definitely suggest you read it. It's very interesting, and obviously it talks through a whole load of other areas that I haven't even touched on. But what I found surprising is, even though I thought the premise of what to keep, as in only keeping things that give you joy, was a little, strange. Yeah, it was strange. It's actually hugely liberating. And having gone through the process currently, I started at the weekend, we're now on Thursday. I have done all of my clothes, my handbags, my shoes, accessories, sort of jewellery, scarves, hats, coats, sort of seasonal kind of wear, and sunglasses and those kind of things. I've literally just completed my beauty and makeup products this morning. So I've done a number of things, and one of the things I noticed, even with doing the clothes, and both my husband and I did the clothes together, as in he did his and I did mine simultaneously. I took our spare bedroom, he took our master bedroom, and we piled everything onto the beds, and we took before and after photos, and I'll share some of those in a sort of coordinating blog post. I'll link that below so you can take a look at some of our before and after photos. And one of the things that I enjoyed about this process is that with the KonMari method, it's not that you're trying to eliminate or declutter a certain amount of stuff. You're just trying to eliminate all the stuff that doesn't bring you joy. And so we piled everything on top of the beds, and we normally in our home, we have seasonal clothes simply because we cannot fit everything into our wardrobes and our drawers. We live in a sort of an average size Irish 3-bedroom house. One of our bedrooms is a home office, so it's no bedroom items whatsoever. And in our spare bedroom, which is our guest room, often those sort of large double wardrobes would be filled, with our clothes as well. Even with that in mind, we still had we had 3 boxes, 2 filled with clothes and 1 filled with shoes in the attic that we rotate every sort of spring, summer, sort of autumn, winter, so twice a year. So we piled everything onto the beds, and we literally went through everything. We touched it. If it gave me joy, I kept it. If it didn't, I put it in a donation bag. There were a few items that I know one of my best friends has always had her eye on, and she's borrowed numerous times. So I put them aside for her, so she could have first refusal. If she doesn't want them, I can bring them to the charity shop as well. So the process, it probably took us about 1 hour to bring all of the clothes to our separate locations. That's to empty all our wardrobes and to really search around the house. Because one of the important things to note is that after you have, I suppose, purged or decluttered in a certain area, excuse me, tickle in my throat. After you've purged or decluttered in a certain area, and if you've removed all the items that don't give you joy, and a few days later, if you find something hidden in a box or a cupboard or somewhere else that wasn't included in the initial category purge, you're supposed to put it in the donation pile. The thinking is, if it wasn't important enough for you to remember when you started, it doesn't give you joy. Excuse me. Terrible tickle in my throat. And interestingly, this did happen to me. I completed the clothes in its entirety. Everything was put back. And the following, or about 2 days later, I was doing my shoes and I opened up a box to check if there were shoes in it, and I actually found more clothes belonging to me. Now, I was true to the book and I looked at the clothes, and part of me did go, oh, and the other part of me said, no, stay strong. I hadn't laid eyes on those clothes and I don't know when, so I put them straight into the donation pile. Another kind of thing that I noticed, when you see the sheer volume of clothes that you own all in one space, and you kind of think, oh my goodness, could I even possibly wear all of those clothes? It was kind of overwhelming, and you'll see that in the photos in the coordinating blog post. The pile of clothes that I created exceeded the headboard in the guest bedroom, I would say, by at least half a foot, if not close to a foot. It really, it was a massive pile of clothes, and I appreciate that it was absolutely every clothing item I owned, from underwear to scarves to coats to just everything, jumpers, the whole lot. But it was massive. I was kind of surprised myself, and it looked like a mammoth task. It really did. At that point, it had taken us an hour to sort of bring everything together. It probably took me a further 2 hours to physically go through the pile, touch everything, and decide what I was going to do. The one sort of major point for me is a lot of the clothes that I actually wear regularly, I don't like at all. I was picking up things and I'm like, oh God, I wore you twice last week, but you don't actually bring me joy. Didn't like, sort of, they looked okay and they were fine and they were nice clothes, but I didn't actually like them at all. I'm sure when I purchased them, I liked them, or when I was given them, I liked them, but they actually didn't give me joy. In total, I had one bag of rubbish, obviously, sort of clothes that were just beyond repair, underwear, that sort of thing that I wouldn't be able to donate, and a further 12 bags of donatable clothes, and then another 2 bags of clothes for my friends to go through and have first refusal on. So that is a total of 15 black sacks. And again, I've taken a few snaps of some photos of the sort of before and afters and the black sacks for you as well, and you'll see those in the coordinating blog post. James, we reckon James has about a third of the clothes that I would have, and he filled 3 black sacks, and sort of he only had a handful of undonatable underwear, things that he was getting rid of that he couldn't donate, so he just put those in with mine. And he had half a bag of shoes. I also had 2 bags of shoes as well. Again, it really surprised me at how quickly, when you just have this one focus in your mind of, does it bring me joy? And if not, you get rid of it. Now, of course, there were 1 or 2 items that, sort of, I kind of had to, like, say, a winter coat. I got rid of a lot of my winter coats. I don't like them. I'd never really thought about it before. I kept 1. I know we're coming into spring, summer, but I thought, just in case I don't get around to buying a winter coat before it gets too chilly, or even though it's April here in Ireland, the weather can turn very quickly. But one of the things on my to-buy list is a few new winter coats as well. So I did have to keep some things that don't give me joy, but that I need to replace before I can actually get rid of. There were about, 8 items I was unsure of, as in they gave me a little bit of joy, but I wasn't sure, did it fit me nicely and that sort of thing. So what I did was I put them to one side and I tried them on 2 days later. And actually, before I tried them on, I immediately got rid of 3 pieces before I even tried it on. I had decided, no, they don't give me joy. Of the remaining 5, I kept 2 of the pieces and I got rid of everything else into the donation pile. Putting everything back, I was so surprised. I still had a massive amount of clothes. Again, you'll see the after photo in the coordinating blog post. I returned everything to my wardrobe, to my drawers. I sort of found new sort of appropriate places. And I still have plenty of room in my wardrobe. I now have one full drawer free, real kind of large dresser drawer free. I can now close my underwear drawers, which I was previously able to do, but they sort of used to pop back out at me, particularly if I was on top of all my washing. I can see everything clearly. It's all beautifully folded, and that's another thing that Marie Kondo talks about within the book, is folding and how to organize your clothes. I took some of her points on, I utilized some of her points, but I already had my own methods of folding and organizing my clothes myself, which I'm pretty happy with. It's sort of very akin to what she suggests, where everything is stood up as opposed to laying flat. If you're interested in that, I'll actually maybe do a quick sort of how I organize my wardrobe after the Marie Kondo or the KonMari method. That actually might be a fun follow-up to this. But absolutely all of my clothes are currently, we'll call it downstairs, as in not half of them are not in the attic. And the following morning, when I was getting up and getting dressed and I opened my wardrobe, for the first time possibly in my entire life, I had trouble getting dressed because I could pick out too many outfits that I wanted to wear. And that's when it sort of clicked with me. It really sort of clicked with me then that this is why the goal is to keep only what brings you joy. And that sort of realization, or that kind of click, for me has made the rest of the process so much more easy. And so I'm at the point now where I'm actually excited to move on to the next aspect. And even when I'm in the midst of, collecting stuff for categories, say I was doing accessories and jewelry and that sort of thing last night, and I was seeing other things in the drawers and the boxes that I had created or I was collecting from, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to get to that point. So it spurs you on. Very exciting. Now, she does say in her book to do the whole method start to finish in your entire house can take up to 6 months. And I can see how that would be, because obviously we lead busy lives and you're doing other things as well. And I have sort of been trying, the clothes is a large one for me. All in all, it probably took me, between collecting or decluttering and then putting things back, probably took me almost 5 hours to do. But that was probably the single largest aspect I'll have to do. I'm not sure. Maybe glass and delftware might be as traumatic, or not traumatic, but as lengthy. I'm not too sure yet. But yes, if you're looking for a way of decluttering and organizing your home, I definitely see the point and the benefits of this. Keeping things that only give you joy makes you feel so great about everything. It really does. Every time I open a drawer now, or sort of look at my shoes or my wardrobe or even my jewelry collection, there's so many bits and pieces that I am actually looking at going, oh, I cannot wait to wear you. Because I actually genuinely think that because everything was cluttered with other stuff that I didn't like anymore, or I never liked, it just helps by removing all those things. It just helps to sort of see what you actually, all the lovely things that you actually have. And it's a really liberating sort of focus just to have that one goal in mind, to only keep the things that give you joy. Now, I appreciate that there are sort of certain things that have sentimental value, or may have been given as gifts. And she does talk about that in her book, how to rationalize that. Personally, I love her rationale behind it. Sorry, apologies. But it might not be to everyone's taste. That's why I sincerely suggest that you definitely read the book. It really will probably help you to digest everything a little bit more. But I have to say, I'm thoroughly enjoying the process. As I said, I have already done clothes, handbags, shoes, accessories, and beauty and makeup today. So in the coordinating blog post, I'll talk a little bit more about sort of how I found things, and there will be some before and after photos for you guys to look at. I realize this vlog is turning out quite long at nearly 25 minutes. So I'm going to leave it here. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. If you're going through the process yourself, I'd love to know how you're getting on and any challenges that you might have found and how you overcome them. If you have any questions or ideas, or if you want to see any of the specifics of what things look like now, I'd be delighted to share some with you. Let me know in the comments below, and I look forward to talking to you more about this process, because I have it in mind now to do obviously time to do my entire house, and I'm really excited about that. So look forward to talking to you again soon, guys. Bye!